Hello everyone, Phil here with a video review about the Sound Blaster 1.5. Lots of information in this video, and we're going to look at jumpers, ports, how to install the card, where to download the drivers, how to test the card. I'm going to show you how to set the blaster environment variable, how to install the discs. We're going to check out the Creative Music System and Game Blaster mode, and we're also going to hook up a Roland MT-32 thanks to Soft MPU. At the end, a summary and conclusion, and throughout the video, lots of sound recordings. So enjoy this video. Okay, so this is the Sound Blaster 1.5. We're just going to have a look at the connectors and the jumpers. The exact model number is down here. It's the CT1320C. In terms of connectors, what have we got here? Up here you can plug in a microphone. We've got the volume dial. Here is the speak out. It's amplified, so be careful if you're using headphones with that. And this is the joystick and MIDI port. Now, the MIDI port is not MPU 401 compatible. However, with Soft MPU, you can run a Roland MT-32. I'm going to show you that later in the video. If you want to use that option using MIDI and also joystick, you need to get one of these. This is a joystick to MIDI cable with a joystick pass-through. So that connector goes into your Sound Blaster, joystick goes in here, and one of these goes into your Roland MT-32. In terms of jumpers, we've got a couple of jumpers. The most important ones are these two. So here's where you set the address. 220 is the recommended address, and here's where you set the interrupt. Interrupt 7 is recommended. There's another jumper here, and there's another jumper up there. These just have to be set. And here we have the two upgrade chips to add Creative Music System and Game Blaster compatibility to this card, the Philips SAA 1099P chips, and I will also show that in more detail. All the drivers for the Sound Blaster 1.5 you can download from my website. I put together a zip package which has all the drivers and the updates ready to go. You just need to unpack it into the C/SB folder. Alternatively, if you're interested in installing from the original floppy disks, I've also uploaded 2 floppy images which will create the 2 floppy disks. Another option is heading to the Vogon's driver archive. I'll put the link in the description. You can also get the disk images from there. Installing and testing the card is pretty straightforward. It's an 8-bit card, so it's going to work in a ton of machines, especially really old ones that don't have a 16-bit slot. Make sure the jumpers are set correctly. Interrupt 7 and address 220 is the way to go. I'll put in a picture that highlights those 2 jumpers. There are 2 more jumpers on the left side. They just have to be closed, and that's all you need to take care of. Then you turn on the machine. You want to test the card, make sure it's all working. There's a program on the driver disk and also in the zip driver package from my website. Test-SBC. Run that and it'll check the FM chip, but also the digital speech.
Hello there, hello there, hello there, hello there.
The card is now fully functional. It doesn't need a plug-and-play manager or any mixers installed. It's really a straightforward card. But I do recommend that you set the blaster environment variable. So you need to edit your AutoExec batch file and then just type in set blaster equals A220, I7, D1, and T1. Some games will look for that and configure the interrupt and the address according to this entry. After that, just reboot your machine and your card is ready to go.
I'm back. Indy?
You don't look at all well, Dr. Jones.
Exploring our collections can be dangerous, Mr. What was your name again?
Smith.
Those of you who need or want to install from the floppy disks, you need to insert the first floppy disk and run inst-hd space and then C, and the letter C stands for your C hard drive. So if you're installing in another hard drive letter, change that and then just hit enter, and the installation commences. It'll halfway through ask you to swap the disks, and that's pretty much it. At the end of that, once it's copied all the files, you also need to edit the autoexec batch file again, and you need to put in a set sound equals C/SB folder. So some programs will look for that folder in that environment variable. But otherwise, fairly straightforward. You can follow the video. There's not much more to it. The Sound Blaster 1.5 can be made compatible with the CMS or Game Blaster standard. You just gotta get two Philips SAA 1099P chips and put them into the two empty sockets on your card. Compatibility is quite good. Most of the CMS and Game Blaster games will work with such a card, but not all of them, so just be aware of that. And that's really it. All you then have to do is configure the game with the Game Blaster option and enjoy a different and quite unique sound. Vogons forum member BJT has written this really cool software called Soft MPU, and what it does to the Sound Blaster 1.5 is it allows you to connect a Roland MT-32 through the joystick MIDI port. So what you need to do, first time I recommend you just run Soft MPU because it gives you all the instructions as to what you need to type in, and you need to configure the MPU at 330, the Sound Blaster at 220, the interrupt at 7, and then the output for SB mode. And then a ton of really cool games from Sierra and LucasArts will work with the Roland MT-32. Games I've tested so far, I've tried Police Quest 2 and 3, I've tried some games from Dynamics like Heart of China and Willy Beamish, I tried Wing Commander 1 and Wing Commander 2, Monkey Island 1 and 2, and also Fate of Atlantis, so all these games work fine. And that's it for this video. What a great card. I really like this card. It's so compatible. You're not going to find a game that does not work with this card. Also, it's an 8-bit card, so it'll work in old machines. And it's really suitable for 286 and slower 386 computers in my opinion. It's really easy to configure, so if you don't want to muck around with plug-and-play managers and mixer settings and all of that, you really like this card. Just set a few jumpers, off you go. You might have to set the blaster variable, but even without it, most of games will actually work. The Creative Music System and Game Blaster compatibility is really awesome. It's a little bit easier compared to the Sound Blaster 2.0, which I plan on reviewing down the track. That card needs 3 chips, and the 3rd chip is a bit hard to source. What's not so good about this card is it doesn't have any stereo. If you're talking FM or digital speech, it's a mono only card. Doesn't have an MPU 401 MIDI interface. However, using Soft MPU you can get around that fact, but it doesn't cover all games, so there will be a small range of games that will not work through the MIDI interface. Also, newer games that use DOS extenders will also not work with Soft MPU. Shielding, the card is a bit on the noisy side. Don't want to really say noisy. I call it hearing the computer think. It's that kind of ticking sound when you access the hard drive. This card is quite prone to that, so you have to try various slot positions on the motherboard to see what works best. But all in all, a really great card. I would call that vintage. It's not really old school anymore. This card is really quite old, and I think most people use something newer in today's machines, maybe a Sound Blaster Pro, Sound Blaster 16, or AW32 or 64 or something like that. So I think these cards are really vintage. Value is just going to go up, so if you see one for a decent price, just grab it. There's really you can't go wrong with getting a card like that. And that's it for this video. As always, hit the like button. Any comments, leave them down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so. And that's it. Looking forward to doing another video very soon.